And today we have committee presentations out of order a little bit. We're going to have the conference committee first, and then we're going to do archives, and then we're going to do finance. Mindy, take it away for conference committee.
I don't need near 20 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling well. My name is Mindy. I'm a compulsive eater. Hi, everybody. I do what you all do, and I'm the chair of the conference committee. The conference committee used to meet monthly. Now we meet every couple of months since everything has been pretty much streamlined, and it's very cyclical. When one conference ends, the next conference begins. And it's all based on the number of proposals. And the conference committee has made an approved proposal that we will, for the time being, only be on Zoom. The conference committee voted, I don't know if it was this year or last year, to not hold any live conferences because it just wasn't worth it anymore because of the cost. And Zoom brings everyone together. Obviously, this can be changed when there's a new committee, but for now, we're only doing Zoom. As most of you know, the conference this year is, I believe, October 27th, with a rain date 2 weeks later. Not a rain date, with a global internet outage. That's what Ronnie calls it. So right now we're in the middle of registration. So if you are a GSR, ISR, or Board of Trustees member, or if you know of one, they should register for the World Service Conference. So far, we have 27 people registered, 16 GSRs, 6 ISRs, and 5 Board of Trustees. There are 8 proposals right now, of which 3 are amended from past proposals. So there are 5 new proposals. So you can see over the years, since we started having regular World Service Conference meetings, the proposals have, gone down because things are getting done. And so this year there is 5 plus 3. And that's it. It should be a short conference. I think it'll probably be over by lunchtime. And all the information is on GreySheet.org. In the upper right corner under service, you could just toggle over and hit upcoming conference. You can see the proposals. You can see the tentative agenda of the morning. And if you have any questions, I prefer that you email me I put it in the box, WSC registration@GreySheet.org. I check that much more now than conference@GreySheet.org. It's hard to check like 7 emails between work, personal, and GreySheet. So if you use that one, I will be sure and get your message, but either one is fine. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, Mindy. We'll take questions now from Mindy. And I guess, Annette, let's do 3 minutes.
It doesn't look like there are any questions, are there?
I'm not seeing any hands go up. Maggie, and then Dottie.
Yeah, quick question. If we want to check to make sure that we registered, we contact you at the address that you just gave, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
I think you registered, Maggie.
Good, that's all I need to know. Thank you, Mindy.
I think I memorized everybody. No, I'm kidding.
WSC registration
at GreySheet.org.
At GreySheet.org. Okay, got it. Dottie. and
Hi.
then Sharon.
Hi, how can there be any questions when you do such a thorough job?
Oh, thanks, Dottie.
Congratulations.
That's it?
Okay. Sharon.
It was just to say that when I registered, and it was the same for fellow GSRs, you should get a confirmation email in your inbox to say,
You will get
thank you
one,
for your
Sharon.
registration.
Yes, you will. You just registered Thursday. You don't get one automated. There's a process, and the process is I send your payment to the treasurer, who's Joyce, and then I forward the email to Linda, who handles the registration. So she will be sending out, we don't do it every day. So she will be sending out your confirmation, but I just saw yours this morning.
And that's Linda L.
That's Linda L. Linda L. Works on the registration spreadsheet with me. We have no group registrar right now, so I'm making notes. If there's a discrepancy, it's a little more work this year, because if Sharon registers as GSR in London and Joey registers for the same meeting, then there'll be some email communication. Typically, when we have a GreySheet overall group registrar, it will have the GSR's name, but the registrar stepped down, so it's a little different this year, a little more emails if there's a conflict, but we're basically going to have to take people at their word. I don't know why anyone would say they're a GSR when they're not a GSR, but you never know.
Mindy, what's the requirement for the registrar position, abstinence-wise? Do you know?
The overall registrar?
The registrar we're missing?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I would
Stacy, do you
assume-
know off the top of your head? Is it
I would
3?
assume it's a year, right, Stacy?
I would assume it's a year. I'd have to
Okay.
look it up.
Yeah.
Sharon? Oh, sorry, Joey, and then Sharon.
Thanks, Linda. Mindy, thank you so much, and I hope you feel better. Can
Thank
you give us some insights or clarification about the GSR training? Would that be your part of the moods?
Well,
About-
we take attendance, so I can tell you this, it's on the website. And we just had part 1, which was June 2nd and June 4th. And there are 2 more trainings that first one would educate you on what it's like to vote and be a GSR. And part 2 is in October. You have a choice of 2 dates. And it's also on the website. I don't remember offhand. I don't run the content. We just take the attendance.
Okay. Now, my question is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, I was telling a couple of GSRs that if you were able to get those training last year, that doesn't mean that, we suggest that you still go to the training this year. Is that right?
We always suggest you go because you
Okay.
forget from one year to, but many don't.
Okay. And that wouldn't distract us from joining the World Service Conference if they
No,
did not
it's
go. Okay.
we don't say you have to attend or you can't be a delegate.
Okay.
We suggest you go.
Thank
Attend.
you.
Thank you. Sharon, did you have a question?
Oh, no, I just wanted to tell the group that at the European Intergroup meeting this morning, I think a member has stepped up to that registrar role. So
Oh,
it's a woman called Aga, and she's based in Edinburgh in Scotland. I believe
that's
she's
wonderful
going to be
news.
sponsored into that role by the incumbent. So yeah, keep an
Oh,
keep
that's
an eye
great. Good to know. Thank you, Sharon.
out. Okay.
Any other questions for the conference committee so we can let Mindy go if she is not needed? I'm not seeing any, Mindy. Thank you for your report.
Okay, my pleasure. Everybody
Feel
have a
better?
great abstinence Sunday. Bye.
Bye. Okay, Steve, for the archives committee, would you please take it away, sir?
Yes, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Before I get started, I'm going to invite my committee members to introduce themselves briefly and just sort of share their role on the committee. If they'd like to, you can just introduce yourselves. You can raise your hand and be recognized by the meeting. If anyone would like to go.
Okay, I could start. Joey here. I'm a grateful member of the archive committee, a member and also the treasurer.
Hi, I'm Dottie. I'm a member of the Archives Committee. I deal with the documents and digitalizing old recordings. I have my boxes behind me. Box number 12 is being filled. It's lying down. Box number 6 has the old New York Metro Roundup tapes, cassette tapes, and CDs. I'm going through that because I know those haven't been all completely digitalized. And also asking for, I put it in the chat, Grania sent me materials, and I have an empty box here of the second annual GSA Texas Retreat Recovery Without Borders 2006. Tape number 3, session number 5 is empty. So if anybody has one, we would like the donation of an original, please. And I also work as secretary for the archives. And I'm done.
And I'm Deborah. I'm the GSA's liaison with the Archives Committee. And so I work as a connection and communication between both, and honored to do so. Thank you.
Ajá. Olga, ¿lo hago en español o en inglés? Ok. ¿En español o en inglés?
I would say your choice.
Okay. I am Gaby. I live in Costa Rica. I am a volunteer member in the Archives Committee. And also I belong at the la comunidad hispana intergroup. And I am learning. And I am learning a lot together the rest of the members. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, team. Okay, I'm going to screen share. So my suggestion is if you want to get a better view, you can either put it on speaker view or pin me. So can everybody see? Yeah, I'm presenting today, and let me just make sure that I can show you what my next screen is. Okay, I'm going to play this. Okay. The purpose of the Archive Committee is to collect, organize, let me go back, copy, preserve, and store historically valuable GSA documents, digital and printed materials, and artifacts. And you just saw an example of an artifact Dottie showed you. Anything, any three-dimensional thing, whether it be a t-shirt or a keychain or a cassette tape or a hat, becomes, once it has fulfilled its event purpose at an event, at a GreySheet event, it becomes a historical souvenir memorabilia artifact. And if all those things that are floating around in people's homes, closets, dresser drawers, if you have something that you brought back from an event, a retreat, a roundup, or even a meeting, and want to get rid of it, you know, to declutter, we would love to have it as a donation. We store not just paper documents, but also physical objects, and I'll show an example of that. But that's our job, to preserve things. Our mission is to make GSA archival materials accessible to present and future members of the fellowship for historical research and educational presentations, and to foster knowledge and an appreciation of the rich cultural heritage, traditions, and legacy of GreySheeters Anonymous. You know, it's not just for us. We're thinking about members that are going to be here 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 years from now. You know, and AA and other 12-step fellowships have a wealth of information that they make available, that they collect. But being a junior, we're only 25 or 26 years old. You know, as a fellowship, we're making our history. And we think that a knowledge of that is something that we pass on to our membership. And the Archive Committee is responsible for do that. And we do it by making presentations and collecting things at various events. Like I mentioned, the most recent one was at the anniversary of GreySheeters Anonymous. I presented a documentary video slideshow that I created using archival material, photographs, information, and also to make it fun, I created a little Jeopardy trivia quiz on information about GreySheeters Anonymous. And we played that during the break. So basically, it's not just stagnant, stale, dry information. You know, with knowledge and information and items, you know, you can be very creative and find ways to make that information relevant, accessible, and exciting and interesting to our membership, who, you know, may not see the reason or the purpose of having an archive. We do store our materials at a facility in Garden City, New York. Both Dottie and Joey go up there physically and they put things in in storage. It takes $5 to take things out every time we look at them. So it's an expense, but until we have a brick and mortar office, central office, World Service office, and I have examples of what my vision is that one day, like other 12-step fellowships, that we have a central office where we would have a receptionist, we would have people on the phones, and we would have a physical archive which would serve as a museum. So when people come to the city, you know, and we can have one in New York and Chicago and Cambridge, that people can go and visit and see some of these materials, that they're not just in a box or somewhere collecting dust, and that they could sit at a kiosk or some sort of computer and listen to the audio tapes that we have, the interviews, the leads, whether it be on YouTube or just some of the roundup tapes that we have. That this, you know, the idea is that this is valuable information, but it becomes even more valuable when we're able to share it and make it accessible. Right now, we do have a website where you can go on, the New York City Metro and also World Service, where you can listen to some of the audio tapes that we have available, and they're also in our Google Drive. But what I did was I created a beta version of a website where you can just click on that link and go see archival historical photographs, images, you can see documents, you can listen to tapes. And again, if it's ever put up as a proposal, if membership, if the fellowship, because everything that we do, we do on behalf of the fellowship. If people really think that this idea is worth pursuing, we'll make a formal proposal, put it in so that we can create it, and then people will use it. If people don't think it's interesting or useful, then, you know, we won't pursue it. We don't, you know, we think that our time and our energy should be invested in what the fellowship really wants, because that's who we serve. So just to give you an example of some of the artifacts that we have, our first acquisition was the Sally Ann Duncan quilt. Sally Ann Duncan, as you know, was one of the original Cambridge GreySheet members. Her and her husband, when we were still part of AA, you know, started a special interest group, which is why we have a group purpose. Before we were a fellowship in our own right, we were a special interest group of OA, and our group purpose was to foster, you know, that we followed the GreySheet. And she was a quilt maker. She was an artist. And this quilt was made with her hands. So it has her DNA on it. And it's currently stored at the storage facility. But recently it appeared at one of our retreat events that was brought there, and people got a chance to see it, touch it, smell it, become aware of it. And the other one is we have the Sally G scale, and as GreySheeters, we all have scales, and, you know, once we pass them on, they become artifacts, you know. And Sally G also wrote a book. So I bought the book, and I'm going to write in the book and donate it to the storage facility, to the archive. Anything that a member produces becomes part of our lineage, our cultural heritage. And one of our members also wrote a play. We honor the relationship of GreySheeters Anonymous with Alcoholics Anonymous and Overeaters Anonymous. So one of our members wrote a play about Bill W. and Dr. Bob. Okay, so that's one of our direct connections. So it's not just an ancient connection, it's an ongoing connection. Many of us belong to other 20-step, 12-step fellowships. So our family genealogy is very extensive, you know, and we have a definite historical place in relationship to the 12-step timeline which started long ago and far away. We didn't just pop up out of thin air. You know, we are part of the progression and evolution of recovery. One of the most recent. Oh, and going back, a member showed me an image of a coin from one of our first, and correct me if I'm wrong, the member is here, of our first World Service Conference. And if anybody is holding on to anything like this coin, you know, we would love to have one of them. If it's your only one, you can bequeath it to us. But one of the things that I mentioned is that we once upon a time, when we were meeting face to face, had a corporate seal which sort of stamped all our official documents, and it's sort of lost, and if it's out there we would love to find it. But the other idea that we thought of was that we can create a new one, and this coin, this image, which is our official image, our ancient one from 1998, maybe we can replicate it and create a new one. So our first archival document is the GreySheet itself, and for some people who feel that it's never been changed, it was edited twice. You see on the extreme left the original OA plan, and if you notice, it says Plan A. So as a newcomer who doesn't know anything, if there's a Plan A, what's Plan B? So this was the suggested weight loss plan, and you give a little history. Again, we're always educating, we're always enlightening our membership, but this is our first document. And as you can look at it, it says down at the bottom of all three versions, and the main thing that has changed is the emblem. Okay, when we bought the sheet, when we acquired it, we put our logo, and our logo has been updated. But what I love about this sheet, the food plan and the menu gets a lot of attention, but that's only 2/6 of the document itself. The other thing that it says is, remember, ours is a threefold illness. These suggested eating plans, maybe that'll be changed because we only follow one plan, can guide us on the physical level, but we need the 12 steps to remember our recovery on the spiritual and emotional levels as well. So as you dig deeper into this, the GreySheet itself, it does foster this awareness in our connection and our recovery about the 12 steps. So that's why we promote AWOLs, that's why we speak on the traditions. It's not just about what we're eating or getting 4 or 5 or 6 ounces of protein and 16 ounces of vegetables. It's about a full treatment plan for our eating addiction, which is not dead, it's only arrested. So it shows us as archivists what we can do with this piece of paper that is so chock full of every need, not just on the physical, but the emotional and spiritual, and also social. So we look at the GreySheet, we study it. But one of the things that I've done and like to promote is historical sites. And what I'm thinking is that I most recently went on a walking tour. I got abstinent in New York City. So in New York City, we have historical locations like where our first roundup took place at the Fourth Universalist Church. The Llanos building is no longer there. They built something else. So I went to the site and introduced myself. And I did my first AWOL, and I was counting days as soldiers and sailors. The building is still there. It is no longer open. But what I'm thinking, for those of you who live in cities where GreySheet is, or maybe will be in the future, maybe one day, like the alcoholics go to Stepping Stones, where Bill Wilson's house was, that we all take a trip to Cambridge, Massachusetts, you know, and take a walking tour of the GreySheet locations. Go to the first meeting house on 11 Garden Street. We can go to the Boston Courthouse where meetings were held. We can go to the Park Street Church. I have a friend who goes to one of my meetings. He lives in Cambridge. I have family members who live in Cambridge, and I think my next time to the East Coast, I would like to take my smartphone and just sort of walk and just sort of videotape and just sort of take a little and make a documentary and a walking tour about some of these locations in our history. So those are just some of the things that as an archivist, as a member of the committee, I've come up with some ideas. And if you have a passion for history and you're a geek like me who likes to sort of be an archaeologist and sort of dig up stuff, whether it's information or an artifact or a scale or a spoon or anything like that, or just have clerical skills where you'd like to sort of help take minutes or document things, or you like technology, we'd love to have you join us. So this is the flyer. You can reach out to myself or any one of our members. if you just want to sort of check us out at one of our monthly business meetings and ask questions or just sort of throw some ideas, or if you have something, like I said, if you see something or if you know something that you think would be of interest to our committee, to pass it on. So thank you very much for your time. And that's my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer any. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. That was a great slideshow. Do we have any questions for Steve? Maggie.
This is not a question, it is simply a comment. I just want to say thank you for the incredible labor of love that has gone into all of the work you have done. It is amazing. And I am kind of in awe of the labor that you've put into this. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you so much for your comment, Maggie. My ego wants to accept it humbly, but with all due respect, it's all been a team effort. Sometimes we're at meetings together and I get an idea and then I just run with it. One of the ideas that I got from the quiz show was that somebody did a presentation at this very meeting, and they sort of like, in order to sort of demonstrate how people were paying attention and listening, they asked questions. And that's what gave me the idea for the quiz show. So I like the attention. Don't get me wrong, I love it and I appreciate it. But I also want to stress that, you know, we are a committee and I haven't done anything by myself. And I would love for people to join us because I get very stimulated and excited, and that's how things happen. We do it together. So thank you very much again. And if anybody has a comment like that or a question, they're more than welcome. And I just also want to remember that I have to jump off maybe about 15 minutes before, but does anybody else have any other questions? And also my committee members can feel free to jump in and respond if anybody does. Thank you.
Linda.
Go ahead, Debbie. Yeah.
I did just one hot minute. I so enjoyed looking at the gray sheet where there's handwritten writing all over and then breaking down what this means. It feels, I love that. I just had to say that. I loved it.
Excellent job, Steve. Thank you. And thank you to the whole committee. Any other questions? Annette?
I just wanted to also say thank you so much to the whole committee and Steve. And I know, Dottie, you've been on it from the beginning, it seems like. So I have so much stuff that every time I think about it, it's like I have so much stuff that I could contribute and I haven't done that. So I'm just saying that out loud. So I need to give you some things. Anyway, all right, thank you.
Excellent. Any other comments or questions? Sharon.
I just thank you, Steve. That was great. And everybody who's on the archive committee, that's the most comprehensive explanation I've had of the work that you do. It's real great to see make it visual. So those venues, and I just thought of the first venue where the London meeting was held and the first venue now where the Brighton meeting is held here in England, and how we as an intergroup and around Europe, the first Bulgarian meeting, Slovakia, Madrid, etc. So yes, I'll announce it at our intergroups here in Europe. And do we funnel that through to you, Steve, or to Dottie, or how do we get information to you?
Yes, that's an excellent question. Anything that you want to contribute, whether it's information or about the events, especially with our cousins across, the pond or the ocean, just sort of contact me. I put my email in the chat. You can reach out. The committee has a committee email. I check it less frequently. So like Mindy, just use my personal GreySheets, Steve, and we would love to have whatever you'd like to give us. Clean out your closets, declutter, share what's going on. Any event becomes part of our, history, so thank you so much for doing that. That's very generous offer, and we'll definitely take you up on it.
All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Excellent job. Excellent job. Next, we have Jen from the Finance Committee. Are you ready, Jen?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I do what you all do. weigh and measure 3 meals a day, committed to my sponsor, and don't eat in between. I don't know why, but I needed to say it today, so there you go. So I am the finance chair, and with us, Joyce is on. She's our treasurer and the board of trustee liaison. So wave, Joyce. There she is. So she's the one that has been serving us very diligently for many years, like keeping the book straight and helping budgets and all the things. So just really want to make sure she's recognized. And we also have Eve, who's a voluntary member that comes to our meeting. So what do we do? Finance chair, if you think about it, we got a tax ID, we are a corporation, we're registered, we're legit. And to be able to not only be responsible with our money, but also meet the regulations that we need to meet. Our purpose is to review and provide guidance to GSAs on financial matters. And then specifically, we have the internal controls and independent audit and financial analysis, where we're tracking the budget each month. Joyce sends us monthly updates with the status of our budget, how we're doing. Primarily our committee doesn't meet like every month. Usually it's every few months, and just end of fiscal year we'll meet more often, but that's what we do. First Sunday of the month, if anybody's interested. I do have a few people that'll be coming. Our next meeting, it was supposed to be today and I double booked myself. I'm supposed to be at 1, but I can't. So it's going to be next Sunday at 12:30. If anyone's interested, I put my email in the chat. One thing we are doing is we had 3 proposals last year that got adopted. So about guidance on using meeting facilities, procurement policy, and then we just made some amendments to the accounting policies and procedures based on our independent audit that was conducted last year. So that's kind of one of our primary purposes, is to continue on with what we say we're going to do. So that's one of them. And then plans for 2024 for this year, continue to do what we're doing. And then we're, as an organization, fiscally bound. So our end of year is June 30th. So each year we have a subcommittee that gets formed that reviews the books. Joyce pulls together an annual review. They go through it, check it, ask questions. And last year we did that, plus having the third party, look from somebody outside of our organization. So if you ever have financial interest and you're interested in joining that subcommittee, let us know. We do it every year, and it's a fairly short commitment. So throw that out there. And then the last thing, I guess, that we're kind of working on right now is there was some comments that we got from members about, here, I'll share my screen. So people know on the website. Ooh, I haven't done this in a while. Let's see. Did that work? Yeah, I think it worked. So we have a pamphlet called the GSA Group Treasurer Guide to Service that's on GreySheet right now. As all people know, as the world has evolved, so has our meetings. So, we may have been just phone meetings, and then we became in-person meetings. And then, especially due to the pandemic, there were some Zoom meetings prior to pandemic, but now we have lots of Zoom meetings, which are fabulous. But this is definitely set up when it was written back, I guess, in 2020 or so, to be, maybe that might be just our own copyright, I'm not sure. Anywho, to be more in-person meeting based. I know that phone meetings kind of had their own thing that they did too, but we thought we should kind of make it known about that there's virtual meetings. So we did add some language on here, just saying that, virtual meetings could you also use an online payment platform versus just like in a checking account. That's kind of the default that most did. Or when I was in OA, it was just an envelope that somebody carried around. So just depends on how big your group is and how much money and your comfort level. So virtual meetings can, how do they, usually you would pass the basket. You're in a meeting. Well, that's not really what there's no basket to pass. So there's a virtual basket by posting the either PayPal, Venmo, whatever platform your group's using. So just posting that into the chat box is kind of what we added. and then just encouraging groups to regularly check digital accounts. So this is like many of the things in GreySheet, it's a recommendation. We encourage for best practice, not required, but it's handy. So if anybody is interested, you can find this on the website. And let me stop sharing so I can actually see everybody again. So that's kind of all I had. Unless Joyce, anything you want to add or I miss? Okay. Any questions?
Thank you, Jen. I have a question about the taxes associated with electronic payments. Is there any way around like the Venmo and PayPal fees and being taxed if you're the treasurer?
Yeah, I mean, friends and families for PayPal, sometimes you can avoid it, but I usually get dinged too. It's just part of the platform. It's like a service fee versus a tax, is guess how I word it. Whereas if you're doing goods and services, then it is for sure taxable versus friends and family. So I guess try to avoid it by doing friends and family for PayPal. And then Venmo, I don't think there's any taxes unless it's over like $500 or I don't know, Choice you remember, but I don't think that is an issue at the moment. Yeah.
Steve?
Yes, I just had two comments. First of all, thank you so much for screen sharing that pamphlet. I passed it on to our group treasurer who didn't really have a sense of what his role or responsibilities was, especially on a virtual format. People get kind of complacent since it's not a physical basket going around. The importance of making that contribution, that it's part of our spirituality. And the other thing is I want to thank you for presenting early because she shared before the meeting started that next, it's her birthday. So I just wanted to congratulate you and, for your conscientiousness. No, it's all good. It's like, that's also part of the number crunch that we do. It's like, so that was very interesting and informative. I sort of didn't realize how informative, the spreadsheet with the money is, where it goes. So that when people ask me, why am I contributing? Where does the money go? Like, I'll give you an example. Like, why do I have to pay $25 to go to a virtual conference? Well, everything costs money. Nothing just, pays for itself. So as a member, I ask myself, what is my abstinence and my recovery worth? And then put that in the basket. Thank you.
No, that's a great point, Steve. Yeah, I think that is a question there. We do prepare a budget that is, we go out to each of the committees asking, what initiatives or things do you have that you're working on and how much do you think it'll cost? When we print something, there's upfront costs that we need to pay to front load it, if you think about it. I mean, in the end, we do get money back at each time you do purchases, but there are fees and shipping and all that stuff that go around with our amazing written content. Or, we have a web hoster, we have web platform, we have a little bit of legal stuff. We're definitely an organization, I mean, for better or worse. So there are some overhead type of charges, but obviously it's very minimal. Yeah, so that's kind of what we do.
Did I see someone put their hand up? Must have been a figment. Oh, Maggie.
Yeah, it's just very chatty today. Maggie, compulsive eater, and thank you, Jen. That was great. And this is really a comment. We are a little bit down from our, we need contributions. And in terms of contributions, in the face-to-face meetings, it was very easy to pass the basket every time. And it's a little bit more of a challenge to donate and contribute. So what I have done is on my anniversary and on my birthday and right around income tax time, I contribute a larger amount, kind of figuring out what it would cost to contribute at every meeting that I go to. So I contribute larger amounts 3 times a year, 2 or 3 times a year. And that seems to work for me because it's, as I say, it's kind of, you have to go and to the website and do PayPal, and it's a little bit of it's a little labor intensive, more labor intensive than just passing the basket at face-to-face meetings.
Yeah, that's a
So
really
that's
good
just a
point.
suggestion.
Yeah, good point. And there is if you go to our website in the top right corner, donate, and Joey can definitely go into more of this. Like there's different ways where you can text to donate, and there's I myself kept forgetting. So there's a way you can do monthly recurring donations through PayPal. I did that for myself last year. So much easier. And every once in a while I get an email saying you paid, and I was like, all right, cool, great. And that for me, budgetary, I need it spread out. So versus a lump sum. So yeah, lots of options. Steve, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Maggie, for that. I started that this year for myself and also for my meeting the men's meeting. $3 for the first year of your abstinence, and then $1 for every, we call it the anniversary club. We do it in the AA, and I made a donation to World Service and to my intergroup, on my anniversary. So that's one of the things we started announcing at the 7 Tradition break. Again, how much money did you spend in your food addiction? So, and how much do you value your, we're creating a culture, not just around money or the 7 Tradition, but also in the spirit of giving back, especially money, but also time and service. So thank you, Maggie, for mentioning that.
Thanks all for listening and your comments. It's great.
Thank you for your presentation, Jen. Any final questions for Jen? How far off are we on the budget right now? Donations for this year?
Gosh, Joyce, do you know off the top of your head? It's like $8 grand behind. It's been a bit since I've looked.
We're doing okay. We're just off a little bit.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I wouldn't say a lot because each month is different. We didn't have a lot of donations in May, so it's going to look a little bit low, and I hope that's not a trend. But we are, from the year before, we're about $2,000 or $3,000 off, and we don't want to do that each month. So if you can donate, that's great.
All right. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any questions in Spanish either, so in the chat. All right, let's go back to the format here. Thank you so much for all of your presentations. Usually I bug Grania at this point, but I see Joey, Stacy, and Maggie, and Deborah from the board. If I missed anyone, I apologize. Oh, Joyce. Is there anything you guys need to announce while we still have some time? Joey.
Thank you, Linda. Joey, compulsive. Just in addition to what Jen was saying about the text to donate. Thank you so much, Jen, by the way. For those US members that we had, because text to donate is only for US members, you could also put a monthly donation, not just a one-time. The text to donate has the ability, when you see it on the bottom, it would ask you if you want to do a monthly donation. I like what Jen was saying, I did it myself because when it comes to money, I always forget about things. I always forget about money. So it's a good thing. You just go to text to donate. We have the information in the chat. I believe that Linda was able to put in the text to donate 4431, I believe, if I remember it right. And when you get into the bottom, it would say if you want to do a monthly contribution, just for everyone to know about that. Thank you, Linda.
All right, any other announcements? Maggie.
Yeah, there's a wonderful document that Joyce created and updated that is about what do we need your money for? Is that the name of it? What GSA needs money for?
Something like that. Or it's where do your donations go? I've done 2. So it's one of those.
It's one of those, and it's a great document, and it gives you an idea of where the money goes that we collect, and it's just, and perhaps encourage both intergroup and GSRs to share that information, because you don't realize, what the literature committee needs money for, what the archives committee needs money for. And this kind of lays out where that money goes, and it's very informative. Thanks.
Is that available on the website?
Yeah.
Okay. Sharon.
Yes, I was going to say it is, and I could share my screen and show you what it looks like. Well, what does GSA World Services need your money for? And it's a really comprehensive document we've shared amongst our European groups. Thanks.
Thank you for that. And thank you, Joyce, for making it. Anything else from the board? Any announcements about retreats? Maggie.
This is the last one, I promise. The Pacific Northwest Retreat has 1/2 of a double left for its upcoming July 26th, 27th, and 28th retreat. So we have 1/2 of a room available, and our response has been wonderful, and it will be a wonderful retreat. So you already have a roommate waiting for you, so please help us fill that last spot. Thanks.
There's an Ireland retreat coming up. Sharon?
I was just going to give a plug. Anybody thinking of spending some time in Europe this summer, we've got the Ireland retreat coming up from the 1st to the 3rd in Dublin. And then we've got another retreat coming up in Paris on the weekend of the 14th, just a day roundup. People are arriving on the Friday and staying until the Sunday for fellowship. And then on the 17th is the Madrid retreat from the 17th until the 21st. So there's lots going on from the beginning of August until the end of September. It's all on the website under events. Thanks.
Thank you, Sharon. Anything else, my friends? Any random thought? All right, let's close. We'll close with the Serenity Prayer. Let me do one more sweep of the, donations. Speaking of finance, we do take collections for this meeting as well. So as mentioned, you can, if you're in the US, you can text to donate. The number is 44321 and send the letters NMW, and you will get a link back that will let you donate. And then if you are not in the US, or if you're in the US and you want to do it this way, go to GreySheet.org/donations. So if you go to the website, you can look it up under, I'm sorry, I don't know right offhand, but is there a donate button, guys? Yeah, okay. All right, so there's a donate button. And anyway, so we do take a collection for this meeting that way. The next meeting is going to be July 14th at noon Eastern. And I believe it's going to be communication, literature, and nominating. We might have some last minute switches like we did this time. So if you are interested in all the people who were here and their contact information, I suggest that you save the chat right now. I am going to go to chat right now on my own and click the save button, which is the 3 dots. And thank you to our translator, Olga. And let's close now with a serenity prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and wisdom to know the difference. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
very
everyone.
much.
Bye all.
No matter what.